Hello, welcome to another episode of WTV from NSCC's beautiful Ivany campus. I'm Sean McDougall.
And I'm Dexter John Unibay. Thank you for joining us. We've got a great show ahead with the latest stories from your city. But first, more than 100 people marched across the McDonald Bridge Saturday to show support for Indigenous rights. WTV's Brooklyn Curry was there, and she joins us now, live with more details. Brooklyn.
Thank you, Dexter. The group gathered at Dartmouth Bridge Terminal before marching across the bridge to Halifax. They marched to show solidarity with Indigenous people and the injustices they face from coast to coast. It started with the Mi'kmaq Honor Song. Halifax Regional Police were stationed along the march's route. People carried banners showing support for Wet'suwet'en on the west coast, Boat Harbour and Stop Alton Gas on the east coast, and missing and murdered Indigenous women across the country. Suzanne Patlis is one of the organizers.
We need the federal government to truly validate us by having a true nation-to-nation relationship instead of treating us as a minority and somebody that they can just subjugate legislation upon.
After crossing the bridge, the march turned down Gottingen Street. It ended at the Bus Stop Theatre, with Mi'kmaq women sharing their personal experiences of indigeneity under colonization.
I mean, there's so many land defenders that we are, water protectors. We're missing and murdered Indigenous women survivors. We're grandmothers. We're mothers. We're strong people as a whole.
Among the 100 or so marchers, about half were non-Indigenous. Masuma Khan says it's important for settlers to recognize their role in colonization and reconciliation.
We're all supposed to be treaty people. We're all supposed to engage in this sort of discourse and conversation, and we all have a duty to do better by Indigenous people for what settlers have done to this land.
Organizers say they were satisfied with the turnout and hope more people are inspired to come out and show their support. Khan says so long as Indigenous rights and land ownership continue to be dismissed by the Canadian government, they'll continue to demand action. And Dexter, this wasn't the first march, and it won't be the last. The inaugural Indigenous Peoples March made headlines in Washington, D.C. just last month, with thousands marching on the National Mall. Back to you in the newsroom.
Thanks, Brooklyn.
Now, we all know that libraries are usually quiet places, but Dexter, you heard something a little bit different this past weekend.
I did. And what I heard had a lot of people moving to the beat.
Through the books and in the air, the beat of the djembe rings throughout. As people gather around a circle of drummers, the fast pace and rhythm of the hands on the smooth goatskin covers of this traditional West African drum beat in unison. Dr. Henry Bishop, an experienced djembe drummer, hosted a free workshop at the Alderney Public Library as a part of an African concert series for African Heritage Month. Bishop says the connection between him and the drums he's played for over 20 years helped him cope with trauma during his youth.
My dad died when I was 11 years old, so again, a lot of trauma going on there, and Mom knew that I had to find a way to have an outlet, and drumming helped.
Onlookers were treated with the chance to have a hands-on experience with the cultural instrument that dates back from 12th century Mali. Young children were encouraged to take part, which sparked joy in Hannah Faye's 3-year-old daughter.
She ran over to my mom, who works here, and she was like, "Gran, I got to drum, and I'm awesome at the drum." And yeah, she was very, very proud of herself.
Dr. Bishop believes that the same outlet that the drum gave him can help all people of all ages.
Drumming helps people as well. It's a stress reliever. Again, it's enticing to people, especially children, and encourages people to feel good about themselves. So that's self-esteem development. And drumming is a therapeutic way of overcoming anything that you feel that's in your way, obstacles.
The concert series is in its second year running, with local African Canadian musicians performing free events across the HRM throughout the month of February, using their talents to promote inclusiveness and unity. It's that same talent of these musicians and the beats carrying forward from the past to the present that's bringing the community together. Dexter John Unibay, WTV News, Dartmouth.
It was a great story, Dexter.
Thanks, Sean. Well, between rushing from a heated car to the warmth of our homes, it's easy to forget that there are people who don't have the luxury of a safe and warm place to go.
But as WTV's Caitlin Swan tells us, in Dartmouth, there will soon be a new option for people who need it.
Thank you, Sean. Dartmouth will soon be welcoming its very first overnight shelter. In a report done by the Dartmouth Shelter Society, they found that 75% of people who access crisis housing use it once, but never again. And Sean, it's a common misconception that only people who are experiencing chronic homelessness are accessing these services. I spoke to the man behind the shelter. Check. Warren Wesson spearheaded the creation of the shelter that's located in the Sun Life Community Church on 152 Windmill Road. He knows firsthand what it's like to seek out help and not be able to find it. 10 years ago, Wesson was dealing with a drug addiction, and when he needed an emergency shelter, there was nowhere to go.
I came to a point in my life where I absolutely needed a safe shelter space, and there wasn't one.
The shelter will provide a comfortable place to sleep. Although this type of accommodation is often called a homeless shelter, Wesson wants to do away with the label.
We should stop referring to the people who use shelters as homeless people, because quite frankly, they're not.
Wesson says sometimes people just need a place where they can transition from one lifestyle to another, or a situation where someone might be fleeing an abusive partner and needs somewhere to go for a night. The shelter is nonprofit and there is no official funding at the moment, but Wesson plans on applying for government grants soon. Local charities like Margaret's House will be donating food for breakfasts and snacks. None of which would be possible without space for the shelter, something that came quite easily to the Shelter Society. Chuck Kalatis reached out to Wesson after hearing about the report.
I'm always amazed at the passion people have to do something for somebody like this, and there's nothing in it for themselves. They're not getting paid. And for me, I thought, oh, we're going to have to do all these renovations to make it decent. And they thought it was a palace. They thought it was wonderful. It was exactly what they wanted.
Now that the space is confirmed, it allows Wesson to be entirely focused on how he can help those in emergency situations.
Somebody walks in this door, they're no longer alone. That's the deal. You come in here and we got you.
The shelter will be co-ed and have about 15 beds, and it'll be opening in the next few weeks. Back to you guys in the newsroom.
Thanks, Caitlin.
We're going to take a quick break, but coming up, we head to Lower Water Street to check out who are creating a tasty new brew.
Stay tuned.
And here we see some happy and some cold folks enjoying the Emira Oval.
I'm a little jealous. I haven't been there yet this season. You?
Nah, man, have you seen Cool Runnings? That's me. And now, Sean, you spent the weekend at the bar, right?
Not quite. I went to a brewery on Saturday morning. Check it out.
Ashley Farrington is the general manager for the Olin Brewery in Halifax. She sees a lot of beer in her day-to-day, but now this is the first time she's had the chance to create a batch with her female colleagues.
It just shows that really when we come together, we can put our minds to good use, and we're going to launch this beer on International Women's Day, which is something that we can celebrate and really showcase.
Farrington and 6 of her female colleagues gathered at the Alexander Keats Brewery in downtown Halifax on Saturday morning. They started a batch of vanilla cherry flavored brown ale. The brewery's doors open to the public as well, showing folks the historic themed brewery. The group was led by Keith's brewmaster, Stefan Gagliardi.
So we've got a good spread between our supply team, so the production facility at Olin's, our sales team, and our tour and retail team. So there's a lot of different people that don't usually talk together that I get to kind of help bring together and interact with each other as well as with the public during our open house.
Although the brewing industry is male-dominated, Farrington says it wasn't always that way.
And really what inspired us to make this was, so in London, England, really before the Industrial Revolution, women were really the dominant brewers, really from medieval times up to the early 1800s. And the type of beer that was brewed in that part of the world were brown ales. So that's why we chose to do a brown ale today.
The women who brewed the batch come from all different departments. Carly Gilbert works in the packaging department for the brewery.
Being here for so long, like I get it, it's a boys club. So to be able to get together with a bunch of women and create something that we decided collectively what we were doing, actually putting it together, and because I'm here, I'll actually get to package it, and I think it's amazing that we have the opportunity to do so.
The beer will take just over a month to prepare for packaging. The women brewers will be releasing it on March 8th, International Women's Day.
You know, Sean, I'm really looking forward to trying that new beer.
Yeah, me too. Well, there's a new local cafe serving up delicious treats and service with a smile here in the HRM. WTV's Josh McLean checked it out.
All right, finish her up.
A new cafe is providing fresh food and opportunities for people with disabilities. Located in the Easter Seals office in Burnside, the New Leaf Cafe provides services for up to 4 adults with physical and/or intellectual disabilities. Easter Seals advocates for a barrier-free Nova Scotia and provides a variety of programs including New Leaf, which focuses on entrepreneurial skills. Veronica Dale is the executive director of New Leaf Enterprises, which operates the cafe.
New Leaf Enterprises is an adult service center, and we work with individuals who have physical and intellectual disabilities, and at an individual level we help them attain their vocational goals.
Dale says the cafe will help people with disabilities gain independence.
It's important because it just increases community involvement, it increases a sense of independence and inclusion in the community, and it allows people to gain the skills that are so vital to be a contributing member of society.
Claire Darrow has been involved with Easter Seals for over 40 years and works in the kitchen of the new cafe.
I do baking and other stuff, help with the dishes and everything.
Easter Seals has 4 cafes within the city, but this is the first time they've had a cafe in an Easter Seals office. It's open Monday to Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. Josh McLean, WTV News, Dartmouth.
Thank you for that, Josh. You know, Dexter, there's nothing that brings us together like a good old game of hockey.
That's right. And sledge hockey or para hockey has been rapidly growing in Canada for the past 20 years.
And WTV's Noah Metcalf takes a look at the sport's growth here.
This is sledge hockey. It's named now officially para ice hockey. It's a sport that allows people with lower body physical disabilities to try their hand at their own version of ice hockey. Sarah Julian has been playing para ice hockey for 6 years, and she enjoys a lot about the game.
Basically all of it. And, you know, it's the activity and you know, getting to know people, and we're starting to travel a little bit, so that's kind of fun as well.
The sport is starting to gain more popularity in Nova Scotia, and Paul Tingley, Parasport Coordinator for Sport Nova Scotia, has been noticing the trend for a while.
Well, Nova Scotia actually is experiencing a big growth in the sport right now, and I think a lot has to do with the last Paralympics. A lot of people awareness has grown, and it's hockey in Canada, so it's always going to be loved. So what we're doing is finding a lot of organizations are taking it upon themselves to incorporate sledge hockey into their programs.
Sarah has been noticing the trend as well, and gives credit to local programming.
We've actually got some Learn to Sledge programs going on through Easter Seals Nova Scotia. I know there's at least 3 in Nova Scotia right now.
The Halifax Sledge Grinders practice at the BMO Centre Sunday mornings from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and they always invite people to come try out para ice hockey. It's not limited to people with physical disabilities. Anyone can give it a try. Noah Metcalf, WTV News, Bedford.
That's a great story. We'll have to check out some of those games.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take another break, but coming up next, this week's Better Halifax profiles a local business owner who's teaching others to make less garbage.
And this.
Hi, I'm Erin McGinnis from CCKC.
Stay tuned after the break. I'll be talking to Hannah and Scotty from Hush about their influences and what makes them tick.
And welcome back. Here's a shot of the Halifax Harbor from our Ivany campus rooftop cam.
Yeah, it's looking a tad gray and dreary. It's kind of been that way most of this winter, so stay dry and stay safe, Halifax.
Dexter, how do you feel about reusable bags?
Well, I try as much as possible to use them whenever I go shopping.
Well, Kate Pepler over at the Tear Shop is showing folks how to live a zero-waste lifestyle.
And she's our profile for this week's Better Halifax.
Just by making small changes in my everyday life could have a big impact overall. I started reading about all these other people living zero waste lifestyle and striving to be plastic free, and realized that was something that I very easily could do. So I started looking beyond the reusable coffee cup, no plastic water bottles, and no plastic bags to my bathroom. So I've been using shampoo and conditioner bars for several years now. I get my toilet paper, comes in paper instead of plastic. I make my own cleaning products. I think one of the biggest challenges, it can seem very unrealistic or very hard for people to make these changes. Don't try to just quit all plastics. Pick a couple changes, maybe a week or a month. It felt like when I was living a plastic-free lifestyle and trying to make all of these changes that I was the only one in Nova Scotia, but that definitely wasn't the case. So after announcing my business, a lot of people reached out and were like, I've been trying to do this as well. Like, I'm so excited. Halifax needs this. So already since opening in October, we've tripled the bulk products that we have. So just based on demand, so what people are asking for. Yeah, so it definitely feels like a lot of people are being inspired and willing to make more and more changes. So the bulk section has just been getting busier and busier, and it feels like more and more people are coming to shop with us package free. All of our actions add up. I started using menstrual cups in 2014, and since 2014 I've saved over $900 and over 1,500 tampons from going into the garbage. I've saved over thousands of disposable coffee cups and plastic water bottles and plastic bags from going into the landfill, and that's just me as one person. I'm Kate Pepler, and I'm inspiring others to live a plastic-free lifestyle, and that's how I'm making a better Halifax.
Man, I love hearing about all the inspiring folks in the Maritimes.
Same, and it's also home to some amazing musicians.
There's a folk duo from the Valley that has a unique feel to the music they're creating.
Erin McInnes, a host with our sister radio station CCKC, sat down with the band Hush to see what drives their music.
How did you choose the name and sort of your identity for you guys?
I wanted a band name because we want the freedom to sort of bring in other musicians as we need and as we have like larger gigs or that sort of thing where we just want a more full sound. So going by Hannah and Scotty kind of felt a little bit limiting, and as well it just doesn't roll very well. So I was playing around with everything, different names of areas in the valley and inspirations and this, that, and the other thing, and I was saying that I was playing around with our initials and stuff, and I was like, we don't even have good initials for it. Our initials are SH, and so it just kind of picked up from there, and I laughed and I was like, we should call ourselves Hush, and I thought it just seemed fitting.
What sort of advice would you give to younger performers who want to get out there and whether it's play in front of an audience or record an album or just, make it as a musician?
Yeah, for me it was repetition and just doing it, and then I got good at it, and well, I can't really say that. People say that I've gotten good at it. I'm still pretty I just go by what yeah. People say that there's like natural talent and then there's work, and I think like for me it was definitely the work. Like I just put the work in, and yeah. So I would say just everybody starts off, we're all in the same boat. Just work at it, and you'll get there.
I don't know why I didn't come.
Thanks, Aaron. And tune in to CCKC on Friday night at 10 p.m. to hear the rest of their podcast.
Well, unfortunately, that's it for this week's episode of WTV.
Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to see the stories that matter most to you.
From all of us at WTV, thanks for watching.
We'll see you next week, Halifax.